Okay, hello traders, welcome to the market update video. It's Stu Napan here, founder of Master the Markets Elite Trades Conference and the Traders Open Day. So here we are on today's video on the 30th of October 2020. It's the end of the month already, traders, can you believe it? And next week it's going to be 1st of November. And just a few more months before we get into New Year, 2021, isn't it? Today's topic, what we want to be looking at, and before we go into the trade performance and go into the market update, what I want to be looking at today is cycles, okay? Cycles and open equity. So that's what I am going to be looking at. So that's the cycles and open equity that we are having at the moment. Just using a different platform today, that's why having a great flexibility with the pen, but I'm sure we'll get over that. Cycles and open equity. So first of all, what are cycles? Now, cycles, as most of you know, as I mentioned before, market never moves in a straight line, therefore it moves in cycles. Okay, so that's what cycles are. And if that is a cycle, so therefore the cycles will make turning points, of course. And if it makes turning points of a top or a bottom or a top, inevitably what happens is that a distance forms between them, and that is what we are using in towards our future analysis of market movement and to make consistent profitability from the market for consistent performance. So that are cycles. So they make tops and bottoms, and they make a movement from bottom to top or top to bottom. So that cycles reinstates the point that the market never moves in a straight line. The second thing is, why then use the cycles? I mean, why is that important to know that the market moves in cycles? Of course, traders, knowing that the market moves in cycles can help you in terms of strategy building. Okay, now in strategy building, two of the things that you need to know before you start to build any strategy, which 99% of traders do not know, which is what we cover in Traders Basecamp Package and Traders Toolbox, is the concept of the strategy and the objective of the strategy. And if you know a strong concept like cycles keep recurring in the market, then you will also start to appreciate that turning points must occur, and therefore now it is your skill set and how proficient you are in capturing those turning points, what parameters and what tools you're going to use to then ride that move to the next turning point. You see, for example, over here, as you can see, that is the top, that is the bottom. Look at the movement that it's got, and how are you going to capture the entire move before the bottom starts to occur. Okay, so that's where the skill comes. But the turning points will keep occurring again and again. Whether you can capture it and how you make money out of it, that's your skill set, and how you mix and match and build your strategies for consistent profitability and performance. That is one of the main reasons on why you should know that markets move in cycles and the open equity of it. Now, how do we all use this? How do we use all this information towards strategy building and for consistent performance? One is, knowing these cycles and the open equity of cycles can help you towards entry and towards exit of the market. Okay, and the second thing what I want to tell you also is that it's never about one trade, it's always about cumulative. Just because we've got this data that says that 70% of them will run 200 pips, that again is not going to make you the money. Yes, 70% of the time you might be profitable when you take out your target profit at 200 pips, but will that make you money cumulatively when you do 1,000 trades? Because the 30 trades that do not get the 200 pips, are their losses quite big, such that they take away the profits from the 70 trades that made that small profit. Okay, so that you also have to balance as well. So it's always cumulative, not single. Now let's take a look at an example here in terms of this, in terms of our open equity data, and I will relate this into the market as well. Okay, right, so for example here I've got this table over here that we got all our open equity data for just a few currency pairs. You can do that across any instrument, commodities, indexes, whatever you want, ETFs even. So we can look at where do 60% of them get to, where do 60% of the top to bottom or bottom to top moves get to. That would be, just in the simple example here, 300 pips over there. So 300 pips, and how long do 60% of the cycles take before they start to turn? And that is 70 days over, that's 7 days over there, 60% of them. The cycles take 7 days. And then finally, how many trending bars do 60% of them have? And that is over here, we're saying 5 trending bars. Now, let's collate all of them together, okay? Right. So the 60% mark, traders, of cycles, they take 300 pips, okay, 300 pips, which is what we saw, and then they take 7 days, right? And then finally they take 5 trending bars as well, okay? Now let's apply this to a current live scenario. See, dollar Swiss here, daily time frame. You can apply this to any other time frames as well. You just need the data. Now let's analyze this thing, okay? Bottom to all the way current position here, okay, on this bar here. Now, what is the distance that this has moved so far? So let's take a look over here. Now this has moved, let's see, 60%, let's see, this has moved only 143 pips. So it's still not reached 300 pips yet, and you know that 60% of them will get to 300 pips. So there is still movement left. There's about 150 pips left. On the other hand, we also know that 60% of them take about 7 days before they start to turn. How many days does this have? 1, 2, 3. This is Sunday bar. Let's not count it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, right? So it's going below the 60% mark. Then we look at the 5 trending bars. How many trending bars has it got? So if you take a look over here, so that's, we always count the first one as the swing bar as the first bar. Second, that's your third because you took out the high. This one is not a trending bar. This one is 4, and then we got 5, and then we got 6. So we got 6 trending bars so far. So it's crossed the Burfitt 5 trending bars mark. It's crossed the Burfitt 7 days as well. So we know that, hey, hang on a minute here, you know, there could be a top that is due. The only thing is that it's not reached this distance. So what do you do when 2 other parameters have already been hit, but the third one hasn't been? Then what you then do, you can then trail your stop loss a bit more aggressively, right? So you can trail it to the low of each bar, and this is an insider bar, or you can trail it according to tools that you have. You can also trail it according to your ATR or the stretch of the next day too. So that's all different ways that you can do. But this is a way how we can apply the open equity to cycles concept in terms of looking at the cycles in terms of the days, okay, they take, the number of days they take before they turn, and the distance. So time, then distance, and then look at trending bars as well, okay? And I showed you a very simple way on how you can apply that in real market time too, okay? So that's good. So now you've understood the cycles, what I just taught you just now, in terms of what are cycles, you know, and why use them, which is very important for strategy building. And the third thing is that, you know, how do you use it in terms of, yeah, entry and exit. And finally, the final point is that never think of just, you know, just that you got the data, 60% of them do that. That doesn't mean you still make the money. You've got to run the numbers. It's the cumulative data which will give you the end profit at the end, okay, net profit at the end. A quick look at the markets. I'm just going to look at a few instruments. That's what I got over here at the moment. Dollar Swiss, is there open equity to the upside? Yes, there is, as we just saw over there. 60% of them go to 300 pips, so just trade with caution. But on the other hand, efficiency ratio is still very strong. You can see all these buyer bars, still a very good healthy runner, not taking any signs of weakness. Euro dollar, on the other hand, similar thing as well. Open equity still to the downside. I'll still be cautious a little bit of a turning point happening. But however, the efficiency is quite strong, so I will keep going on that and riding that move. Oil is on a plunge over here. Again, strong move, structure 1 over here. Open equity diminishing to the downside, so be careful once it takes out the low over here. Dollar yen, on the other hand, another thing I want to caution as well, if you are riding this move, especially on an insider bar like that, once it's closing so near to its end, you can definitely trail it to the upside as well, because if it turns around, there's some good buying pressure coming and you don't want to be in that move. Dollar yen on the other hand, yes, we're seeing insider bar over here, open equity to the downside diminishing, showing a lot of signs of weakness along the way if you look at it, and we can look at capturing this move to the upside as well coming on to Monday or even today if it makes a primary. Aussie dollar on the other hand, yes, open equity still a lot more to the downside, but it's kind of stalling. If you look, that's one thing you got to be careful of. The swings are compressing here. You're not making that much distance, so I'd be cautious. So open equity can definitely diminish to the downside, and it can come up to the upside. So at this point, you can look to hedge it. You can look to put a buy order on the up, or if it carries on, just ride that move up. At the point where you come out of the short move, then you can come into the long move immediately. Cable, on the other hand, you can see that it's a market structure 1, still a lot of open equity to the downside. In terms of efficiency, it's still quite good, going strong. So let's see. But if it takes out the high, we'll be seeing a upward move to the upside. Euro yen still going strong, still to the downside. Efficiency still 1. We'll still be riding that move as we're doing it in cash in 4.0 on the live trading room. FTSE, on the other hand, yes, still downside. It is diminishing. Efficiency is losing out. I would see some turning points starting to happen because the downside is starting to diminish. And Dow, look at the Dow. I mean, it has crashed quite a bit, taken out a very critical level over here on the bottom here, showing some kinds of support there. However, I will still ride it to the downside. Open equity, yes, is diminishing to the downside, but however, efficiency is quite strong, so I'll still keep riding that move to the downside. Okay, right. I think that's that on the market update. Let's take a look at our performance for this week so far on the Elite Room and the live trading room. So on the Elite Room, what we got over here when I totaled up everything, so what we have is that on primary runners open equity we had minus 1.09%, and in terms of pips we had minus 121, and in terms of primary runners elite we had minus 0.19, okay, and we had minus 33 pips. Okay, now overall in the elite room, this actually we had 33 pips here positive, yeah, on primary runners elite if you're done in pip size management. So overall in elite, what do we have? We had minus 1.28%, and in terms of pips we had minus 88 pips over here, okay, on the elite room. Now on the LTR, on the other hand, on the other room that we run, what did we have? When we totaled up all the strategies, in terms of lift off 3.2, 20%, what did we have? We had minus 0.81, okay, and we had minus 101 as well pips. And then in terms of lift off 70%, which is a more shorter term one, which comes up much faster to smoothen the drawdowns a bit. So that was plus positive 0.72% that we had. And then we had 73 pips positive as well. Okay. And then in terms of cash in 4.0, we had minus 1.93%. And then we had minus 132 pips on the TSL primary, but we got two big runners happening on Euro Yen and Euro Dollar. Still, we haven't closed out that yet. But however, all on the closed positions, that's what we got for this week. And in terms of one day exit, cash in 4.0, we had a good, great 2.86% profit and 121 pips of profit. And overall LTR, what it has made is that we have made 0.84% profit, okay, on the LTR and minus 39 pips. Okay, now when we total up the LTR and the elite room together, what we have is a small loss of minus 0.44%, and then in terms of number of pips we got minus 39 pips. Okay, so that's what we got as of now. So that's the overall performance that we have. Make sure that you guys also are tracking your entire performance as well. Okay, I guess that's pretty much that from me on this video. And as we always say, till the next time, stay disciplined, follow your trading plan, and keep trading like a master.